Reuters, Myanmar feels sad over a U.S. decision to sanction a military general, a government spokesman said, after Washington linked the commander last week to abuses against the Rohingya Muslim minority. This targeted sanction is based on unreliable accusations without evidence, as we have repeatedly said, so we feel sad for that, ZHTAE, spokesman for Myanmar's civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi, told Reuters by phone late on Tuesday. The Trump administration announced on December 21 that it was sanctioning Major General Maung Maung So, who was in charge of a crackdown on the Rohingya minority in the western state of Rakhine. The United States, as well as the United Nations, have called the crackdown ethnic cleansing. About 655,000 Rohingya have fled Rakhine state and sought shelter over the border in Bangladesh, according to the United Nations. The United States said American officials had examined credible evidence of Maung Maung So's activities, including allegations against Burmese security forces of extrajudicial killings, sexual violence and arbitrary arrest, as well as the widespread burning of villages. The military and the civilian government of SUUKYI have denied allegations of widespread abuse in Rakhine. The testimonies of Rohingya refugees were only talking stories, ZHTA said, adding that Myanmar would act if it received reliable and strong evidence that its troops committed crimes. We have told international governments and human rights groups including the UN that the current government is committed to protecting and promoting human rights, said ZHTA. The U.S. Treasury said Maung Maung So, former chief of the Army's Western Command, would have his U.S. assets frozen and Americans could no longer deal with him. Reuters was unable to determine if Maung Maung So had business interests in Myanmar or elsewhere. Maung Maung So was transferred from his post in Rakhine and put in reserve, an army spokesman told Reuters on November 13. No reason was given, but the military said the same day action would be taken against officials who were weak in acquiring information and who allowed the militant Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, ARSA, to spread through Muslim villages in Rakhine. Reuters was unable to contact Maung Maung So. Major General Tun Tun Nhi of the military's Public Relations Division, the True News Information Unit, said he had no comment on the sanctions and declined to answer questions on Maung Maung So. Modern force as well as dominating the country's politics for decades, Myanmar's army, known as the Tatmadaw or Royal Force, has gained notoriety for brutal counterinsurgency tactics employed against rebels seeking autonomy in the borderlands since independence from Britain in 1948, according to historians and human rights monitors. But since it began ceding power in 2011, albeit under a constitution that keeps soldiers in key posts, the army has sought to burnish its image as a modern fighting force. It has defended its actions in Rakhine, with military investigators concluding that troops adhered to rules of engagement and sought to minimize civilian casualties while responding to terrorist provocations. But the spiraling Rohingya crisis has dashed hopes of expanding engagement with Western armies. Andrew Selth, an academic who has researched Myanmar's armed forces, wrote in September.